That's what the American people, I think, expect, is just civility, common sense, give and take, compromise. Those aren't dirty words. There's nothing wrong with them. And, I think the American people understand, I have flaws. Michelle will tell you. One of them is not that I'm unwilling to compromise. I've been willing to compromise my entire political career. And I don't believe that I have the answers to everything, and it's my way or the highway. But I'm not going to breach a basic principle that would weaken the presidency, change our democracy, and do great damage to ordinary people, just in order to go along with what the House Republicans are talking about. Okay.
I did ask specifically about China, and I'm wondering whether, to what extent has our lost their game?
I'm sure the Chinese don't mind that I'm not there right now, in the sense that, there are areas where we have differences, and they can present their point of view and not get as much of pushback as if I were there, although Secretary of State Kerry is there, and I'm sure he's doing a great job. But I've also said that our cooperation with China is not a zero-sum game. There are a lot of areas where the Chinese and us agree. On trade in particular, though, here's an area where part of what we're trying to do is raise standards for example, intellectual property protection, which sometimes is a big problem in China. And if we can get a trade deal with all the other countries in Asia that says you got to protect people's intellectual property, that'll help us in our negotiations with China. Richard McGregor.
Up here.
There you go, Rick.
Yeah, can I go back to the issue of debt prioritization?
Yeah.
What are your legal liabilities in this here? What is your legal advice? That foreign creditors must be paid first, particularly as it's a sovereign credit issue? Or
Richard, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Jack Lew, the Secretary of the Treasury, make a formal presentation on Thursday before the Senate committee, because this is obviously sensitive enough, and I think people would be paying close enough attention that details count. And I think prepared remarks from Secretary Lew on that topic would probably be more appropriate. But as I indicated before, we plan for every contingency. So obviously, worst case scenario, there are things that we will try to do. But I will repeat, I don't think any option is good. Stephen Dennis.
Mr. President, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about budget process. In the past, you've negotiated along with the debt ceiling with the Blue Dogs, for instance, in 2009, 2010, along with a debt ceiling increase then. Pay-as-you-go reform. You named a fiscal commission. The Republicans today are talking about let's have maybe another committee that would work out our differences over the next few weeks. Is that something that you could talk about on the side, something that wouldn't necessarily be a concession, but something that could be a format for getting a deal done?
Yeah, here's the thing, Stephen. I know that Speaker Boehner has talked about setting up some new process or some new super committee or what have you. The leaders up in Congress, they can work through whatever processes they want. But the bottom line is either you're having good faith negotiations in which there's good give and take, or you're not. Now, there is already a process in place called the budget committees that could come together right now. Democrats have been asking for 19 months to bring them together, make a determination how much should the government be spending next year. The appropriations committees could go through the list, and here's how much we're going to be spending for defense, and here's how much we're going to be spending for education. And that's a process that's worked reasonably well for the last 50 years. I don't know that we need to set up a new committee for a process like that to move forward. What has changed, or what seems to be motivating the idea we have to have a new process, is Speaker Boehner, or at least some faction of the Republicans in the House, and maybe some in the Senate, are holding out for a negotiation in theory, but in fact, basically Democrats give a lot of concessions to Republicans. Republicans